So hello everyone, this is Dave Blanchard with Cognesis Marketing. This is the Cognesis channel, and I have with me today Doreen Korba, and she is a personal coach, motivational speaker, and writer focused on what she calls the mindset magic. So that's taking control of one's thoughts and setting yourself up for success, and that's what she's best known for. She's a clinically trained psychologist with a master's degree in counseling and 15 years running global marketing organizations. Doreen combines her business skills with a personal journey through grief to help others uncover their highest potential, return to the best version of themselves, and live a life full of joy. So welcome, Doreen. I'm glad to have you here this morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So let's just jump in and get started. So tell me just a little bit more about who you are and who you help.
Absolutely. So like you said, I'm a life coach, and I work with men and women, and because we're talking about business here, I'll kind of dive more into that, but I really help men and women reduce overwhelm. We are in a society where we are pulled in so many different directions, and by the time people get to me in small business, they're exhausted and they've lost their sense of self. And so my role as a psychologist, and also from being there for 15 years running marketing, is really to guide them back to making sure that they're fueled and not drained, that we are not losing our sense of self, because let's be real, the honest truth is the reason we go into business for ourselves is for flexibility and more time, usually with our family and friends, and it's the opposite. It can be a real trap. And so by the time folks get to me, they're exhausted, and we work on a strategy to fix that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, so you alluded to this a little bit. What's the main problem you solve, and what are some of the symptoms that you observe when people seek you out?
So, there's so many problems that I solve. It's really hard to narrow it down, but I really think at its core is just a loss of self and being in touch with ourself and our needs. A lot of the men and women I work with are parents. They are running businesses. They are working. They are caretakers. So everyone else seems to come first. And in certain periods of life, that is what it is. But how do we not lose our sense of self and still be driven to pursue our passion, while also being realistic with how much we can possibly do in a given day? So, like I said, it's I see a lot of anxiety, I see a lot of overwhelm, and I see a lot of just not being real clear on what they actually want. So the first step is getting really, really clear on what do you want, not what you wanted 3 years ago. What do you want today in your life, in your business? What does that look like? And so a lot of times we're hanging on to expectations that we had for ourselves that we created when our lives looked different. And our responsibilities were different. And so that needs to shift what we want as our life shifts. And so that's where we start.
Gotcha. So what are some of the common mistakes that people might try to solve this problem on their own?
And if we want to just kind of focus on business, and really the mistake I see most is that everyone is doing as much as they can before they launch their business. That's number one. You don't have to have all your ducks in a row to get out there and start moving. And so that analysis paralysis sets in. And you could never start a business if you are trying to have all your ducks in a row, because the only way you're going to really learn your business is by doing it. And so that's the best education you can have, is to dive in. So that's number one. The other one is getting your business up and running is really an exciting time, right? I mean, we all are in it. We love that part. But the actual over the hump, the business is running. Like, now what do you do? And a lot of new business owners haven't really thought about the grit that it's going to take, the change of strategy. And what I see a lot is we want to run our businesses the way we want to, but
Hmm.
not the way the market needs us.
Gotcha.
And so we have to change strategy, and we have to do what serves our customers, more so than what we think is best. That makes
Hmm.
sense.
So being able to quickly identify what those changes need to be and then pivot or make those changes quickly is is what's needed.
Absolutely, and we should be evaluating, especially with social media, the way that it is today, and some of the other marketing aspects. We really need to reevaluate things every 3 months. We need to tap into what's
Mhm.
working, what's not working, and I'm not saying change strategy, do a whole 360,
Right.
but if you didn't do any market research before you started, then that's what may need to happen. And so I work with my business owners on on that a lot, kind of getting them to launch and then supporting them after they launch to make sure that business takes off.
Gotcha. Cool. So, so what's one step that somebody could take to sort of take a direction, move in the direction of solving the problem? It's not going to solve the whole thing, but what can someone do today if they're feeling that overwhelm, if they're in that situation,
Yeah,
if they don't quite know the direction? What's the one thing that you'd recommend they do right away?
get it all down on paper. So the first step that I do with every new client I have, whether we're dealing with grief or loss or business, is get everything in their heads down on paper. And I evaluate what the fuelers are and what the drainers are, what we can let go most immediately, and then what problems we have to solve over time. And together we come up with a strategy for what the next 3 months will look like. I really only look at things in 3 month intervals. I mean, there are goals, of course, that are going to take years, but what are we going to do in the next 3 months, and how are
Right.
we going to gain traction? And so that's the first step. It's an exercise I do with a stick figure and some bubbles, and we write it all down, and then we go through and we get deep in our bodies and we say what's working and what's not. And even with business owners, we don't just focus on business, we focus on how the business is affecting other areas of their life. So we talk about their family, we talk about their health, their nutrition, their future, their finances. We look at it all because we can't separate our personal life from our business
Yeah,
life.
it's all connected.
We're taught to, right, in corporate America, but it's just not possible.
Right. So I like what you're saying about the fuelers and the detractors, or what was the term? I
The drainers, yeah, the fuelers and the drainers, yeah.
Really a cool concept.
Mhm.
Um, so what's one free resource that people can take advantage of if they want to go a little bit deeper and take a next step?
So the next step would be I have a mindset masterclass that's going on right now that is free.
Okay.
And in order to get access to that, it is a training that you watch at your own pace. And what I do is I walk through the first 5 steps that I go through, which with each new client in about a 30-minute time frame. And then you get to work those steps on your own.
Mm.
And so it's really a lot of value, and I condensed it to make sure that you can rewatch it as needed, and you walk through each of the steps on your own. So it's great content. It really will get you to think differently. And the way to do that is to connect with me on social media, and then I will add you to that private group.
Okay. So we'll put a link below this video where people can click on that link and connect with you. Well,
Perfect.
excellent. Thank you so much for that tip. So one last question. What's the one question that I should have asked but didn't?
So the biggest thing for me is, are you as a business owner really deep rooted in your purpose? And so what is your why? And really connecting to that and making sure that your intentions are solid behind the business that you're in is the only way to success.
Got it.
Really sticking with that deep rooted reason that you started this in the first place. And sometimes we can get distracted with all the shiny objects of exciting things that come along, but what's the core? And let's make sure that that is deep rooted in your soul, because sometimes it's a hard road. It takes 3 to 5 years for businesses to really take off. So you're going to need that connection.
Cool. Great. Well, Doreen, thank you so much for spending
Thank you.
time together, and have a great day. Thanks.
You too.